Well, Moises Caicedo has confessed onto why he wants to join Arsenal, and his reasons are very well clear, and how he felt when he missed out onto his preferred move from Brighton to Arsenal in the January transfer window. Good morning, guys. It's a Monday. How are you guys? I'm here watching us from 24th of April. We are like 6 days left to end the month of April, and I think you guys are really so much hyped up, and you know what it means when it comes to moments like this. So smash the like button, comment and share. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. In this segment, we're going to talk about another CDM that Arsenal is monitoring apart from Caicedo. That is Zubimendi, who plays for Real Sociedad. Fabrizio Romano has dropped a very big hint as far as his transfer is concerned. Then there is another midfielder that has been at Arsenal for like 2 years. He was signed in 2021, and I think time has come for him to call it quits from Arsenal, and that is Offload Lokonga. And Arsenal are willing to really cash in for the player and let him go to see to it that he tries his efforts elsewhere. Rokani David is my name. Rokani Media Football is the YouTube channel, and the show is known as the Transfer News Show. Strictly transfers, and I think as we are edging into the month of May, then transfer news is going to be awash all over social media, and I think you guys are not ready for the transfer news that we're going to be producing to you here onto our beautiful channel known as United Matters channel. Now, let's go eyes. Moises Caicedo was talking to the Telegraph, and he had the following to say. He said, on his failed move to Arsenal in January, I was really close to going. I suffered a lot. I'm sure I'm going to have many more moments. That's why I continue to do things well, but it was tough. I would seen a lot of Arsenal before knowing that there was a possibility of me signing for them. I watched them. I liked them because they have very young, talented players and some stars, but they always have that mindset of wanting more. That is Moises Caicedo for you. Let's tackle the first paragraph, that he suffered and he felt bad when he never went in for Arsenal. We never went into Arsenal, but he's working to see that really makes himself available into the summer transfer window. Now, Moises Caicedo is a player that played against United yesterday, and if I told you watch that game against Brighton, you saw how good him and McAllister are, and I bet whether those two players are staying at Brighton this summer, they're going to be on the move, and they're going to be really sold on big money. For Moises Caicedo, they can get like £80 million, and for McAllister, they can get like £60 million. That's a combined fee of 140 million pounds. If I tell you Brighton, that's not bad money, and I think they've already gone ahead to scout replacements for these players, because these players are really leaving. They are too good to be at Brighton. That's it. As you've heard him say that he wants to go to Arsenal because Arsenal is competing in there for you. But the moment was tough because he came out and put out what we call a public transfer request on Twitter. That is Moises Caicedo, and Mr. Bloom, the owner of Brighton, said, you are going nowhere. You are going nowhere. Because Arsenal was even willing to go on and really make a second bid. I think it was a third bid of £80 million, because they first made that of 60, turned down, 70, turned down, and that of 80 was being prepared by Arsenal, and they said, no way, you are going nowhere, even if Arsenal puts in that amount of money. Then Moises Caicedo was suspended until the end of the transfer window. That was 31st of January, and next Wednesday he found himself in the training ground of Brighton, and he is playing the game of football. And yesterday he played against Brighton, and the game ended, the full 90 ended 0-0, extra time ended 0-0. We went to penalties. Manchester United knocked them out of the tournament. But that doesn't downpour the quality of Caicedo that he expressed on the field of play. He really looked good, and I think he's that kind of player that Mikel Arteta would love to have at the club of Arsenal. Why? I've always told you the reasons. He can play as a CDM, he can play as a number 8, and he can play as a number 10. So he's talented, so much talented for Arsenal not to have in their team, or for any team in the Big Six not to have into their team. So that is Moises Caicedo for you, and he said it was a very tough period, but he found himself in a position of really going ahead to manage it very well, and that's why he's playing better, to find himself in positions of really playing for this club of Arsenal. He said this is why he loves Arsenal and why he wanted to go to Arsenal. Had seen a lot of Arsenal before knowing that there was possibility of me signing for them. So he says he had watched a lot of Arsenal and he never knew that maybe sorry about that, maybe they would come in for him and obviously sign him. And he said, I watched them, I like them because they have very young talented players and some stars, but they always have the mindset of wanting more. So that project that Mikel Arteta is building at Arsenal is very much convincing to every player. That's it. Is very much convincing to every player who is young. Moises Caicedo, in the age bracket of 21, 22 years of age, I think this is a very huge opportunity that cannot really let down. That's it. He cannot see himself not playing for a big club. You know? And at Arsenal, there is space for him to play. Trust me, you must be loving Thomas Partey, loving him die, but trust me, on any day, I start Moises Caicedo ahead of Thomas Partey. Why? What he adds onto the game, you know? Defensively, he's solid, you know? He's young. And the most important bit of it is, if you are to 100% bet on players that are going to be available throughout the season, or for the majority of the season, Caicedo, you can bet on him. Thomas Partey, you cannot put your odds on him. You get? On all odds, I put them to Caicedo. He's injury free. If at all he gets out, he'll miss out like 2 or 3 games in the season. Of course, to 60, 70 games Arsenal are going to play next season. But Thomas Partey, he's really an injury prone player. And the way he really crumbles, you know, is really out of this world. So to me, I think Moises Caicedo has given his reasons why he loves to go to Arsenal, young squad, the way they play, and them wanting to go on and really wanting more. So I think Arsenal fans, you should get excited. Just get your money onto your bank account and tell Brighton that you're going to pay you £80 million. Get us Moises Caicedo. And this really leaves Arsenal in a very huge dilemma on Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo. Who are they going to sign? But I think them going to the Champions League will grant them a chance to spend close to £200 million this season, because most of the previous 2-3 seasons they've been averaging close to £140 million. Now that means they have an allowance or a luxury to spend more £60 million. That means 80 can go to Declan Rice, 80 can go to Moises Caicedo, and maybe some 40 can go in for a right attacking midfielder with the left foot in there for you, and maybe a right back. Arsenal can really sum up their season that way. So that is Moises Caicedo for you to Arsenal, and has gone ahead to make a confession that he really loves to come to Arsenal. That is it. Now, let's go to another player known as Martin Zubimendi. Very, 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 very good player who plays for Real Sociedad, and Fabrizio Romano has gone ahead to really let us know about Zubimendi to Arsenal updates. Remember, Arsenal put in a 60 million bid and it was really rejected into the January transfer window. Now, Fabrizio Romano told us that Arsenal sent their scouts to follow both Martin Zubimendi and Robin Lee Nogmad this year, as they are doing excellent with Real Sociedad, but nothing is concrete yet. The Gunners' plans on new signings will be made in the next weeks. Nothing is advanced yet. The price for Lee Nomad is the release clause of 50 million euros. Now, let's talk about Martin Zubimendi. Martin Zubimendi is a very good player. You know, he's a very, 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 very good player. And him being good, he's that kind of player who has gone ahead to put in lots of performances for a club known as Real Sociedad. And Arsenal is really hunting in for what we call central midfielders. And Zubimendi is really one of those. And at 60 million euros, that is like 50 million pounds. Now, if at all Arsenal can get in Declan Rice or Moises Caicedo at £80 million. That means they can go in for a player known as Zubimendi as an additive to the midfield, because looks like Mikel Arteta wants to go in for 2 central midfielders, as his 3 central midfielders at Arsenal he's having right now are really aged. Thomas Partey clocking 30, Granit Xhaka 31, Jorginho 31, meaning that his midfield is really running out of steam. And in the very huge competitive season they are planning to have next year, they wouldn't like to find themselves in a position of really having a midfield of those players, meaning that every one on those 3 that I've just mentioned at Arsenal, Jorginho, Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka, should be having a player of a decent age of like 20, 21, 20, 23 into that position to really go ahead and really play against him and obviously tussle it out with him. So as it stands, I understand that Zubimendi is a very good CDM. Even Barcelona is interested in him. If I really never knew him, he's a very good and talented player that he would love to have at the club of Arsenal. So Zubimendi is another one Arsenal have been monitoring, and his fellow teammate known as Robin Lee Nomad. Robin Lee Nomad is a French player, 24 years of age. He's right-footed and he plays into the central defense. So I think Arsenal are really on the hunt of getting in a right-footed central defender, and Lee Nomad has gone ahead to play a very wonderful job in the season of Real Sociedad, because they might find themselves even qualifying for the they might even find themselves qualifying for the league, for the Champions League, because they are placed 4th, 30 games played, they are having 54 points 54 points, and then they are behind Real Betis. Real Betis having 48, meaning that they are 6 points ahead of Real Betis. So they're really having a very wonderful season, and you never know, they might find themselves in a position of really selling those players. But depending on how much Arsenal is willing to offer, that means Arsenal can get both of that, can get the pair at 100 million euros. They can really get them at 100 million euros, because the about clause of the other one is 60, the other one is 50. So they can negotiate down, at least put in 100 million euros on table, and they can get those 2 players. And it would be really a very decent signing, because right now Arsenal is having problems in its central defense, because William Saliba injured, Arsenal conceding very many goals. And I think Mikel Arteta is understanding it better, that he needed a right-footed central defender when he went into the January transfer window. But looks like all those are looking to be rectified in the summer, and Mikel Arteta is really keeping his eye on Lee Nomad and Martin Zubimendi. Then Steve K has gone ahead and really confirmed to us that one of the midfielders that Arsenal bought in at was it 18 million pounds from Belgium, that is Sambi Albert Lokonga, might be on his way out of Arsenal, because Arteta is planning what we call a sweep out at Arsenal that is not going to see these players really stay at the club of Arsenal. And in his own words, this is what he had to say. That is Steve K, and he's so close to Arsenal news. He's telling us that Arsenal will listen to offers in the summer for Albert Sambi Lokonga. He's currently on loan at Crystal Palace until the end of the season. The Gunners completed the signing of the Belgian international on a long-term contract for £17.2 million from Anderlecht back in 2021. But after a good start to his Arsenal career, did struggle for game time. Arsenal is a big admirer of the player, but Arteta is a big admirer of the player, but since Jorginho's arrival at the Emirates, Lokonga fell further down the pecking order, with Thomas Partey, Granit Xhaka and Mohamed Elneny all preferred instead. Prior to swapping North London for South London, Lokonga had only featured in just 6 Premier League starts this season. And I look at that and I understand why they need to let the player go. And to me, he has done what he has done. That's it. And his talent is undoubted. And I think all what he lacked was enough playing time. And I think going at Crystal Palace under Fabio Vieira, he had really seen himself in positions of really getting himself what we call playing time. But ever since the new manager, known as, what is his name? Rob Howson came in through at ever since he came in through at Crystal Palace, Lokonga has gone back onto the bench and is not starting games. So we don't know which team is really going to sign him permanently, but all I know is that there are teams interested in Lokonga, and I think Arsenal can cash in for him. But they can make a profit out of him, and they get like £30 million from him. That is £13 million profit from the player they bought in at 17. I think there are very many teams in the Serie A, League One that have gone ahead to really sign, that have really gone ahead to send signals to Arsenal that would love the services of Sambi Lokonga, and even Sambi Lokonga is positive. And I think Sambi Lokonga made a transfer that he wouldn't have made. Lazio was interested in him, snubbed Lazio, came into Arsenal, But he also failed to really give himself a chance at Arsenal, because every time he was really played, he looked like he cannot play comfortably in a sixth position. He can play as a box-to-box midfielder. Every time he's played as a box-to-box midfielder, he's really seen as one of the best players. But in the CDM, he doesn't play there very well, especially that last game he played for Arsenal. They were playing against Man City when he fell off and they had really a brawl with Martin Odegaard. So it shows you that he needs to go elsewhere and start up his career afresh. So guys, your thoughts on Moises Caicedo to Arsenal confession are welcome in the comment section below. Then Zubimendi and Lee Nomad, that pair of Real Sociedad, Arsenal that is monitoring, do you think they're going to get them? And would you like Mikel Arteta to sell Albert Sambi Lokonga? Yes or no? Rokani David remains my name. Good morning. I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. May the Almighty God bless you abundantly. I'm out for now. See you later, my lovely mates. Bye-bye.